Okay, let's jump back in again. When I think of internships in two categories. First of all, I think about competitive internships. Competitive internships are simply internships with companies that are nationally known. These are companies that everybody really has heard of these companies before. Some of the companies on the left-hand side of the screen are good examples of competitive internships. If you're interested in companies or organizations like this, I would encourage you to go for it. WT students get competitive internships all the time. They got them in the past and they're continuing to get them, so you guys can compete with anyone. Characteristics of competitive internships: one is usually all of their internship information is going to be online. You're going to find an internship page probably for these companies where they're going to tell you qualifications, criteria, how to apply, timelines, all of that kind of stuff. So it's going to be online. Also, obviously with competitive internships, a lot of people are going to apply. There may even be hundreds of students that apply for these competitive internships. But again, if you're interested, I would encourage you to apply because you guys can compete with anyone. The second type of internship, in my mind, is what I call less competitive. And when I say less competitive, I don't mean not as good. What I mean is internships with companies that maybe aren't nationally known, or the office in your community of that organization isn't nationally known. Examples include nonprofits and smaller firms in your community, similar to the logos that are on the right-hand side of the screen. Characteristics of less competitive internships are: one is their internships may not be posted online at all. Since they have fewer people apply, a lot of them don't even put it online. So you may not find any information about the less competitive internship online. And as I just mentioned, much fewer people apply to a less competitive internship. For competitive internships, maybe hundreds of students apply. For a less competitive internship, maybe just a handful of students apply. Your chances of getting a less competitive internship are really a lot better just because the numbers are better. These opportunities are just as good. A lot of times, some people think less competitive internships are even better because typically they tend to be with smaller organizations, and at smaller organizations, you may get to do a wider variety of tasks than you would maybe at a larger organization. They're good opportunities. I highly encourage you to consider less competitive internships, organizations in your community that may have good opportunities. If you identify a less competitive internship, company or organization, and you look online and you don't find anything listed, any internship information listed for them, that doesn't mean there's not an opportunity, and it doesn't mean you shouldn't apply. You should. You can and should apply to that. If you find a less competitive opportunity and you don't know anybody or don't have a contact at that company, here's a method that you could use that possibly could help you contact and apply for an internship at this company. There's a method we teach students, and it's entitled Call, Write, Call. And here's how it works. If I identify a company that I'm interested in, but I can't find a contact there, what I'll do is I'll poke around, and I may even see if I can find a contact, or maybe I just call them and ask, hey, could I speak with the person that hires people, or could I speak with somebody in HR? And maybe on the first call, write, call, maybe you say something like this: hi, my name's Steve Sellers. I'm a marketing student at WT. I've been doing some research on your firm, and I really am interested in what you guys are doing. I'd love to get some experience before I graduate. Do you hire interns? Could I send you my resume and cover letter? And just a quick call like that. And the importance of that initial call is it kind of paves the way for you, hopefully, to send your resume and cover letter to that company. If you send your resume and cover letter to a company and it's unsolicited and it's just a cold email that goes to an organization, there's a good chance that they're not going to open that and read it. But if you do this initial call, hopefully when you email your resume and cover letter, that person is going to remember, oh yeah, that's the guy that called me today. And they're much more likely to look at your information because of that first call. Call, write, call. The write part, obviously, is sending your resume and cover letter. You want to send your resume and cover letter the day that you call them. So hopefully the person you talk with says, sure, go ahead, send me your resume and cover letter, and they give you their email address. You want to send it to them that day, and I would send it as a PDF attachment. So it's easy to open, and you ensure that they can view it good. So that's the write part. Call, write, call. The second call is wait a couple of days. Give them time to receive your email and to give them a chance to read your resume. And then after a couple days, you call them and maybe you say something like, hi, this is Steve Sellers. I talked with you a few days ago and I emailed you my resume and cover letter. I just want to make sure you got it. Are there any questions? Is there any additional information that I can provide for you? When you do the second call, I mean, it is classy. It is so professional for you to follow up like that. Hopefully what will happen through this whole process is at the end of that second call, hopefully your contact will say, sure, why don't you come on in and let's talk about this internship. Call, write, call is not the only strategy to reach out to an employer, but it certainly is a good one, and I would encourage you to consider it. We encourage students to develop a top 10 list. What are 10 companies that you would just love to intern with? I would encourage you to develop a list of companies that are your dream internship employers. I know it sounds simple, but there's power in a list. Think through your internship goals and then try to come up with a list of companies that you just think, man, it would be cool to intern here. You don't have to find current openings. You may have a company on your list, but you look online and you don't see any current openings. That's okay at this point. I just want to encourage you to develop a top 10 list of internship employers that you're interested in. And if you need help coming up with ideas for your top 10 list, we'll talk about that here in just a second. But once you have your top 10 list, I would encourage you just to work it. Just to start with number one on your list and start making contact. Sometimes students say they're looking for an internship, but really never take any steps to make anything happen. And it's really easy to fall into a pattern of just kind of waiting for internship opportunities to come your way. When you have a list and you start working your list, you really increase the chances of you finding something, and you motivate yourself to start taking action steps to make something happen. Start with number one on your list and answer some of the following questions. Do they have a formal internship program? Maybe it's a competitive internship. If they do, how do I apply? What's the deadline? Do I qualify? And start answering all of those questions and looking at all of those details. If they don't have a formal internship program, maybe it's a less competitive internship. Do I know somebody that I could contact at that company? How could I find a contact? How could I figure out who their HR person is? And start asking questions like that. Maybe you ask, do I know somebody that's interned with that company? Maybe there's another student that's interned there, or maybe a faculty member might know of a student who's interned there before. When you start asking and answering questions like that, it motivates you to take steps, to take action steps. So I would highly encourage you to develop a top 10 list and then just start working your list. Many students, including me, when I was in your seat, had a hard time or have a hard time coming up with 10 companies that I would be interested in interning with. So if that's you, I want to give you some ideas to try to help you develop your top 10 list. First of all, you'll see our Buff Jobs icon on this PowerPoint slide. Buff Jobs is our jobs database where we post jobs that we know of. All of us in career services do job development, but we also have job developers, paid staff. That's their job, is they go out and look for jobs for you guys. Everything that we find, we post it on Buff Jobs. So you want to make sure that you're logging in and you're looking at Buff Jobs to know the internship opportunities that we're finding. We don't know of everything, and there's no one website that has every internship opportunity, but everything we know of, we're going to post on Buff Jobs. The Career Services staff, we are happy to brainstorm with you in person, over the phone, via email. You can contact us and we can just give you ideas of companies that you may want to consider for your top 10 list. Again, we don't know everyone and we don't know every internship opportunity, but we can look through our database. We can see companies that have attended events. I mean, we'll do all that we can to help you develop your top 10 list. Maybe you build your top 10 list based on your target, based on your interest. And I know this sounds obvious, but I mean, if you really like cars, maybe you should look at car companies as companies to put on your top 10 list. If music is your thing, maybe you should look at music companies. Social media, maybe you should look at social media type organizations. And I know that sounds obvious, but I think sometimes students don't really look at what their passion is when they're developing their top 10 list. Faculty is another resource that you can use. Go see your faculty member during office hours and ask them, where are students from this program getting jobs? Where have students interned? They may not know every place that students have gotten a job or taken an internship, but they may rattle off some company or organization names that you've never thought of, that you've never considered. Maybe those are companies or organizations you want to put on your top 10 list. You can certainly Google internships in marketing or whatever your field is. You can look on Indeed.com, and there's a million other job search websites. You'll probably get more results than you know what to do with, but you know, as you scan through those results, maybe there's companies or organizations that are listed in that list of results that you've never considered, that you've never thought of. Maybe you want to do some research and possibly put them on your top 10 list. Dream company competitors. I mean, if you want to intern at Nike, let's say, I mean, you probably would like an internship at Adidas as well too. So think about your dream company and then think about who competes with them, and that's a good way to expand your top 10 list as well. LinkedIn, if you don't already have a LinkedIn profile, I would encourage you to develop one. LinkedIn is a great tool. You can click on the icon on this PowerPoint slide and learn more details about how you can use it. But jobs are posted on LinkedIn. You can find alumni maybe in your city or in cities that you're interested in and see where they're working. All of that information could help you develop your top 10 list.